Thank you. So I'm Alex Gouliaev. I'm the CEO of Nuevolution. I'm one of the founders of the company. I'm a chemist by training, and I've been the VD or CEO since 2005. And it's a pleasure for me to present Nuevolution here today to you, and I'm very pleased to have you all here. I will be bringing a couple of forward-looking statements, and remember as investors that these are always associated with risk. We will work hard to deliver on our promises, of course, but as always there is risk associated with anything that is forward-looking. Let's go to the business. Nuevolution is listed on the First North Premier, and we've been that since December 2015. And we have announced that we wish to move to the main market, preferably before June 30th, 2018, so that's a couple of months away. So we intend to apply for a main market listing during this half year of 2018. In our IPO in December 15, we raised 250 million Swedish kronor to expand and further promote and mature our pipeline. And we're focusing on diseases within inflammation, so autoimmune diseases, severe autoimmune diseases, where patients' own immune defense attacks their own body and leading to a number of very severe diseases, as well as in cancer. And we are focusing on these therapeutic areas because there's a significant unmet need, but also because there are significant opportunities on the business side. And we have a very unique platform for doing drug discovery. It's a platform that allows us to search for tablet-based medicines, so-called small molecules. And we're maturing this pipeline, and we're getting quite far with the pipeline, considering where we were in 2015, and I will explain some of that to you today. So we'll be looking at a corporate history, strategy of the company, just briefly into the technology platform, what is it? Then we'll dive somewhat more into the pipeline. We will look at some partnerships that we have ongoing and what we are hoping to achieve. Briefly on the financials, and then the outlook for the coming future. So looking at Nuevolution in a historical manner, you can see we've been around for quite some time. I mean, we founded the company in 2001 based on the idea, the hopes that we would be able to revolutionize the way you do tablet-based drug discovery, small molecules. And in the very early years, as you can see here at the bottom, platform validation in 2004 to 2007, we entered into a number of partnerships very early on to demonstrate that this platform can do something remarkable. We commercially validated the platform, realized significant revenues from this platform 2008 to 2012, and then we've been focusing on the build of our own pipeline since 2013. And when we started to take on that new strategy, we also decided that we have a unique platform that allows us to do more than just one project. So we have multiple shots at goal, many projects that we're moving at the same time, but that's also much more than we can do ourselves. So we have here a opportunity for actually partnering some of our assets, generating income, while we can then move other programs forward. That's what we decided in 2013, and when we IPO'd the company in 2015, that was the promise that we would do deals, and that's what we have been doing. So we did deals in 2016, and we will do more in 2018. And now we are embarking on the build of our own clinical pipeline, so that's the next for us to do. So as you can see up here, we have partnered with a number of major players, Merck, American Merck, Novartis, 3 deals, Amgen, Almirall, GSK. So we're working with many of the big pharma players that are out there. Overall, over the years, we have generated more than 500 million in revenues in Swedish krona already. Just very briefly on the platform, what it does, we are able to test more molecules with our technique, where we can handle everything one person can handle everything in one test tube, compared to the way you do screening drug discovery in big pharma. So whereas the screening in a big pharma company is capable of handling maybe 1 to 2 million compounds when they start their new projects, we can work with billions of molecules. We can search for many more molecules that can maybe and potentially make it all the way to become the clinical development candidate, and then further on going into clinic. So we have a very quick way of searching for new potential medicines. It's very cheap, and overall we have a higher success rate for each program that we start. So that's the platform, and we've used it to build a pipeline where some of the programs are already partnered. Here at the top you see a partnership with Almirall. This is one of our most mature programs. It's an inflammation project, and in the Almirall collaboration we have out-licensed the rights within skin diseases to Almirall, and we got 11.2 million euros, or 109 million Swedish kronor upfront at signing, and we have 450 million euros, or 4.4 billion Swedish kronor in potential milestones from that collaboration. That's within dermatology. The next one is also inflammation. Here we have all the other rights for that program that's still owned by Nuevolution. In our bromodomain program, it's also an inflammatory project. We are also in autoimmune diseases. These are the two most mature programs that are still owned by Nuevolution, where we have the opportunity for actually being ready for clinical studies during 2019. We've provided some guidance over time, and what we provided in terms of guidance for these two programs was that by the end of the year we would conclude what are the optimal indications for us here. And for the top one, the ROR gamma program, we think that it is attractive to move into a disease called ankylosing spondylitis, so that's an inflammation in the spine, so it's related to rheumatoid arthritis. And for the bromodomain, we are looking at a disease called atopic dermatitis, and I'll go a little bit more into the details with that. Behind these frontrunner programs, we have a wave of future programs that we are pushing forward, such that once some of these are partnered, we will still have other programs that we can keep and move forward in the future. If we look at the ROR gamma program, and here we are looking at a key mechanism for many autoimmune diseases. To the far left, you see these red cells, these so-called naive cells. When they are stimulated in the body with certain stimuli, then they can mature into these Th17 cells, these gray cells you have here. And normally, you would be quite happy when that happens, because it means that these Th17 cells, they should fight some kind of an infection you have. But if the Th17 cells actually fight your own cells, then of course you can have a disease. Many autoimmune diseases are dependent on Th17 cells. What we have in this program is a small molecule, potential tablet-based solution that can take out this whole pathway, and that is relevant potentially in psoriatic arthritis, in psoriasis, where we have collaboration with Almirall, as well as in this ankylosing spondylitis and IBD. In the Almirall collaboration, we are moving forward towards clinical development. We haven't provided guidance on when that exactly will happen. I can tell you that the collaboration is moving very well. It's moving positively forward, and we hope to announce more from that collaboration during the year. In the internal program, the Nuevolution program, we expect to be ready to start IND enabling, so those so-called safety studies where you need to test in 2 different types of animals to make sure your compound is safe under regulatory conditions. And if that goes well, then we would be able to have the program available for first testing in humans in 2019. Here you see at the right-hand side, you see ankylosing spondylitis, so it's an inflammation in the spine, and the spines can grow together and of course cause a lot of pain. And today the treatment, the best treatment you can get is actually based on antibodies, antikrops, and that means that these are injected. It's very expensive, and it takes out your immune system completely while you have this antibody in your body, and this will be more than a month. So if you get an infection in that time period, your immune system is not available to you. So this part of the immune system is completely shut down. What is really needed and what pharma companies are hoping to achieve is a tablet-based solution. That's what you can achieve with these ROR gamma T inhibitors. They are small molecules that can be put into a tablet. They provide better safety because small molecules have a shorter half-life. So this means that if you get an infection, You can stop taking your medicine, and over a couple of days, your immune system can come up and running again. And then the cost of production here is significantly lower than for the antibodies. So here you have an opportunity to actually potentially have a cheaper medicine. We've already shown in animals that is this a pointer here? No. There you have a pointer here. There. If I move it very slowly. You can see here we look at IL-17. Here is an animal model. It's a rheumatoid arthritis model where you have animals that have been infected such that they develop this inflammatory condition, and you can see that it gets worse and worse. And then when you treat with our compound at various doses, you can actually suppress that response, or you can suppress the inflammation. Here's another animal model, also based on IL-17. You have the healthy animals here, you have the sick animals here, and then when you start to dose with our compound, you can again completely suppress. So we've shown in many animal models that this actually works, and we have also non-regulatory safety showing that our compounds are safe. It's an opportunity to move into to this ankylosing spondylitis. Another disease that we are considering is IBD, so inflammation in the intestines. Here you have a significantly unmet medical need, but it's also a very difficult condition to treat. It's very difficult to diagnose the patients and the right medicine that they really need, and therefore this is not going to be the first indication that we will go for. We would rather choose the ankylosing spondylitis initially. If we look at the market, you can see in the psoriasis space, this is huge. It's 16 million patients, and if you look here to the right, you can see here you have antibodies, Cosentyx, significant sales, and here you have a small molecule, not a very efficacious small molecule, but yet it's a tablet-based solution. And the tablet-based solution is very attractive, and you see it also below where you see the volume, the number of tablets sold, or the number of treatments in the tablet-based solution is significant compared to the antibody. So there's a significant need for tablet-based solutions here where you have lower cost, more convenient treatment, and also a safer treatment. So with Almirall, we are moving into psoriasis and psoriatic arthritis. Nuevolution will embark on ankylosing spondylitis initially, and then later on we may move into other diseases like IBD. Looking at the other most mature program, the bromodomain program, here's a completely different type of inflammatory process. We're not looking at the IL-17 process, but at a different type of process. Here it's another T cells called Th2 cells. When they release something called IL-13 or IL-4, then that can be bound to keratinocytes. Those are skin cells. And these skin cells can then release certain cytokines, mediators that also calls upon the inflammatory process, and then you have an inflammatory process running. And that's relevant in a number of diseases. We have demonstrated that we have good efficacy in lupus, in fibrosis. We have most recently also shown atopic dermatitis or eczema is a very attractive indication for us. And for this program, we expect to nominate the development candidate in second quarter, so that's very soon, 2018. And moving that program forward, we would have the potential to be ready for clinical studies with this program in 2019. Here we're just looking at a cell-based system where you can see cells that are stimulated with this IL-13 as we had here on the previous slide. So you have the keratinocytes, you stimulate them with IL-13. And as you can see here, the dark blue bar to the far left, you see a significant response. They release this CCL2, and now they can call the inflammatory process. And then treating with our compounds, again, we can suppress. So these are the kinds of studies that we are doing to demonstrate the mechanism of action. We've just generated these data during the fourth quarter, and it looks very promising, in particularly in this disease, atopic dermatitis. We've also tested in animal models, so these are live animal models. Here you have an inflammatory process where you are injecting something called an interleukin IL-23 in 1 year, and you get inflammation, and that process is running, and then you can see when you treat with 7770, this is our compound, you can completely suppress that both in terms of symptoms, but also in terms of the biomarkers, as you see to the right. So you see good efficacy here. And this is also a growing market. Atopic dermatitis is a market estimated 13 million patients. There's a significant unmet need. The treatment is really not there today. And just recently, an antibody was released to the market. And you can see here in 2017 how that actually takes off. No good tablet-based solutions available. Today, it's already a $4 billion marketplace. And in the future, there will be a need, again, for tablet-based solutions. In terms of partnering, we have 2 major partnerships today with significant potential payments going forward. I've already mentioned the Almirall collaboration where we are moving forward in psoriasis. This is a collaboration where Almirall pays all the cost of the further development for us, and we are eligible to certain milestone payments, so we can receive up to 1.7 billion Swedish kronor in development and regulatory milestones, and potentially up to 2.6 million Swedish kronor in sales milestones plus royalties as the program moves forward. And the focus right now is to get it into clinical development as soon as possible. In the Amgen collaboration, this is a research collaboration, and here we are not in inflammation, we are in neuroscience and we are in oncology. And I just want to show some recent data that you can find in our quarterly report. So here you have a cancer model. And if you look at this graph to the right here, this is an in vivo model. So you have live animals that have been infected, you could say, with a cancer. So this is a xenograft tumor model. And if you don't do anything, you can see that the tumor just grows in size. So it gets worse and worse. And then when you treat with our compound, 1, 5, or 25 milligrams, you can see how the size of the tumor gets less to not grow at all. And we've actually compared in this situation, we have compared to a competitor compound, and the competitor compound you have here. So when we dose 5 milligrams per kilogram, we can achieve the same efficacy as you can get with a competitor compound at 5 times as high dose. And at the same dose, we can completely obliterate, so completely eliminate the cancer. This is the first in vivo proof of concept we have in the Amgen collaboration. We have another in vivo proof of concept study ongoing right now. And for us, this is part of the strategy here is to get Amgen to, of course, team up with us later in the collaboration and take licenses to the programs that we are developing. And should that happen, then we have significant potential payments also from this deal that in many ways is structured similar to what we have in the Almirall collaboration. Looking at the financials and looking to the far left, July, December 2017, looking to the bottom, net cash, 111 million Swedish kronor. We have a good, strong cash position for moving forward, executing on the strategy we are doing today. We are not able today to move into clinical studies, but we can keep on doing the kinds of business we are doing, mature programs up to candidate stage, out-license, get significant income. Going forward, we want to move into clinic, of course, and this will require either that we raise capital or that we do additional deals and reinvest those incomes from those new deals into the program such that we can mature them. It's the ambition of the company to have multiple programs in clinical development going forward. Looking at the performance, here you see what we've done since December 2015. We raised 250 million Swedish kronor to broaden the pipeline and to mature it. We came out with a promise that we would do 2 deals. We did 2 major agreements, one with Amgen, with payments of up to $410 million US. We did Almirall with payments up to 450 million euros, where we already received 11.2 million euros upfront. And then we have also picked up milestone payments from Novartis and from Janssen. We have expanded the pipeline and we have matured the pipeline such that we are potentially only about 12 months away from clinic. We have expanded the technology. We still have a good cash position, and most recently in January, Janssen, one of the partnerships of the past, actually took license to one of the programs, again demonstrating that this technology keeps on delivering. It's a small deal, it's a deal under the old model, but still it's a demonstration that the technology actually keeps on delivering. And then we have announced that we wish to move to the main market before June 30th, 2018. So looking at, and here we are at the forward-looking statements, what are we looking to achieve going forward? We would like to strengthen the shareholder base with additional international and institutional investors. We have strong shareholders today, SEB Venture Capital, Industrifonden and Sunstone. They own 72% of the company and they are still strong supporters. But we would like to see international investors coming on board. We would like to see further institutions coming on board. Moving to the Nasdaq main market before June 30th is a key ambition for us. The pipeline, as I mentioned, the RAW program within inflammation can be ready for the safety studies in Q2 2018. And if everything goes well, we could be ready for clinical development in early 2019. And it's almost the same with the bromodomain program. It's a few months behind. We will select the candidate in second quarter 2018, and if that also moves positively and successfully forward, we could be ready for clinical studies in mid-2019. And behind these most mature programs, we have a broad wave of additional programs that are moving, and then we have our partnerships, where we also hope to report both from the Almirall and Amgen that could trigger milestone payments. And then we have provided guidance that we expect to do another partnership, another deal within the next 3 to 9 months. I would also like to highlight that we have two new people joining us. Fredrik Arp, the former VD of Volvo Cars and Trelleborg, and also a board member in Vattenfall and Swedfund, and involved in a number of smaller biotech and medtech companies, has joined us. It's an ambition for us to make our board, you could say, more and more independent. So this is part of the process, and Fredrik brings a lot of expertise to the board, and we are very pleased to see Fredrik coming on board and joining us. And then most recently, Johnny Stilau has joined us as a Director of Investor Relations and Corporate Communication. He has a background being CFO, also in biotech, Veloxis Pharmaceuticals, and also at Fritz Schur most recently. And he will be a face that you will also be seeing in the future doing some of the presentations of the company. Just very quickly, there's a lot of information that you may find at our website, nuevolution.com. You will be able to find our financial reports. We have much more than just the numbers. There's a lot of description of our science. We try to explain it in a manner that we hope you can understand it. We have our annual report, our video reports, and just a few weeks back, or a week back, we actually released our most recently annual report. This is actually a 6-month report because we are changing fiscal year to follow the calendar year. Analyst reports are available, both Edison and Redeye in English, Analysguiden in Swedish, Remium has their analysis out, and then in Danish we have Pro Investors. So there's a good opportunity to follow the company, and these research reports are available on the website. With those words, I'm open for questions, and please feel free to ask them in Swedish, and I'll do my best to explain in English.
Thank you. You can come over here and step on the little X there, so you get in the camera as well. My first question is, why do you want to move to the main Nasdaq market?
For many reasons. I mean, the First North Premier has been good for us. We chose the Premier because we wanted to act as a main market company very early on. We've been doing IFRS for many years, and it's been an ambition for us to move to the main market. But the main market listing is really important in order to get access to institutions and international investors, and also to improve the turnover in the stock. So for us, that's an important and key step.
Are there any cons on being on that main market instead of stay on the First North listing?
Sorry?
Are there cons on being on the bigger market than staying on the market you're on now?
I think there are not that many cons, you could say. I think it's. I mean, yes, it's somewhat more expensive, not hugely more expensive. We are still doing the same quarterly reports, same audit process. We have installed some more framework internally in terms of control. Of course, that's somewhat more expensive in terms of running that, but overall, I only see benefits. Why didn't we choose to move to the main market initially? You could then ask. We didn't think we were mature enough at the time. We thought we should have a couple of years at the First North and then move up.
All right. And you showed us quite a few projects you're working on. And can you tell us, is there one you can pick apart from the others that's a main value driver for Nuevolution?
I think it's always the most mature ones that are the main value drivers, and the ROAR program, you could say, brings us two opportunities, both in terms of the part that is partnered already with Almirall, that is moving towards clinic, plus the part, of course, of that program that we have kept internally. It's a very validated mechanism of action, so in that sense, I think it's very attractive. But also the second one, the bromodomain program, is very mature. It's just a few months behind it. So it's hard to choose between those two, but I would definitely highlight those as being very important.
All right. And I will also find it quite interesting if you can describe how you work when you approach the big pharmas for a potential partnership.
Yeah.
How does that work go on? And
I mean, it's actually a process that starts very early. Long before we expect to do a deal. So once we have selected certain disease targets, we then start to screen, we identify compounds, we test it in cells, we test it in animals, and on the way we actually start to present our project to the pharma partners to see what kind of interest do they have. And sometimes they may come back and say, well, we worked on this project many years ago and we actually stopped it for various reasons. Okay, then maybe we should think about why are we doing it, what's our argument. In other cases, we get feedback where they say, we really like the program, we would like to see this, we would like to see that, then we will actually consider potentially licensing the program. So I would say we start the pitching, the promotion of the program long before it's ready for sale. And it's almost like saying I'm going to invent an iPhone, and long before it comes, I will already start the promotion. And then once it's there, they know that this is actually, now it's ready, now it's there, it's available. And then some of the pharma companies consider licensing. So it's a long process.
Yes. And also, like, how do you come to decide for the right price on this and the milestone payment? What are the drivers of those kind of numbers?
A lot of horse trading.
All right.
And never be, you could say, desperate. We've communicated quite clearly that we don't want to do a deal just because we can do a deal. I mean, we could do many more deals than we're doing, but they would have lower value, and it would take up resources, and that's not what we want to do. So the best case scenario is like what we did with, for example, Almirall, where we had several companies around the table that wanted to license the program at the same time. And then, of course, you get sort of a bidding scenario where one is moving, and at the end, you choose the partner you think is the best for your program going forward. That's the optimal.
All right. So if you are a company in similar to you, you can say that you want to get in as many as the big pharma as possible in your projects and try to get up a bidding war.
Yeah, it's start the pitching as early as possible, such that they get to learn you as a company. Just as from an investor point of view, you need to learn to know us. You need to follow us. It's the same for projects. Pharma follows the projects, and then at some point they see an opportunity. Now it's actually very much de-risked. Maybe we should take the program. So it's a process, and it's a long process, and aiming for having multiple potential parties around the table is, of course, always good. And then I think we have a good idea of what is the value of programs in our space, in the inflammatory and in the oncology space. And it should be upfront payments between $5 to $20 million upfront, and it should be triple digits in $1 million in milestones. But then where you land with the deal depends on what you could say the competition is.
Yes. We have a couple of minutes over. If there is a question from the audience to Alex here, one here in the front. I will say it.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
How likely is it that you will receive a
How likely is it that you will get any milestones this year from, who was it?
Almirall or Amgen, yeah. I can't answer it, then I need to send out a press release. But I can say that the Almirall collaboration is moving forward positively. We have milestones that are distributed from where we are today and all the way to you having sales. So I would definitely hope to report positive progress from the collaboration this year. In the Amgen, it's you could say it's an earlier stage project, but that's also moving very well on the science. Now you can see we are starting to report in vivo proof of concept from that collaboration. And of course, I'm hoping that that will also trigger positive news from the Amgen collaboration. And this is, of course, associated with risk, this statement, that's clear. But I can't put a number on. It wouldn't be prudent of me to put a number on.
Actually, that's all the time we have. You can talk with Alex more outside, and because we're going to take on the next company. Thank you very much, and good luck.
Thank you. Thank you all.